It is Friday, February 9th, 2017. I'm Israel Anderson, and we need to talk. If you like these podcasts, please like them, share them, comment on them, send them wherever you can. Tonight, we're going to talk about something a little different. Because a few hours ago, I ended up in Facebook jail. Do you know what that is? It's when you do something wrong on Facebook, and Facebook removes your privileges. And I am in Facebook jail until Monday evening. Now, how did this happen? Well, there was a 42-second long clip of Betsy DeVos trying to get into a DC school, to have a tour of the school and have some meetings there. Now, remember, this is Betsy DeVos, who was just nominated in the Senate and sworn in as the Secretary of the Department of Education. Historic vote because Mike Pence, the President of the Senate, had to come down to the Senate and cast the deciding vote after two Republicans opposed her nomination. Anyway, that's over and done with. So here she is trying to get on with the job of being the Secretary of Education. She has a lot to learn. It's a lot to come up to speed on. And protesters physically blocked her. And what surprised me is the Secret Service didn't make a way for her. They got back in the vehicle and drove off. And even then, the protesters, they blocked the vehicle. Eventually, she found her way into the building. I guess they drove off and they came back a little while later, and the protesters had dispersed and they came in. Well, I posted this clip. I downloaded the news clip, 42 seconds long, and I posted this directly onto my Facebook page, israelanderson.com. The facebook.com/israelandersonofficial. And several hours later, I receive an email from Facebook saying that the video has been removed because of a DMCA takedown request. And DMCA stands for the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. It's a very controversial act that was passed, and it gives content creators sweeping powers to be able to have content removed, and in doing so, relieves ISPs and service providers of liability. Has its uses, much criticized. Now, what happened here is that the Sinclair broadcast group, who had the copyright on this clip, filed this DMCA takedown request with Facebook. This was done by their social media manager, Dave Trausneck. Now, I've reached out to Dave over Twitter a couple of hours ago. No response. Don't expect to be getting one. But did I do the wrong thing? Did I actually breach copyright? Now, you do not need to be a journalist, although I am and have been for over 10 years. But you don't need to be a journalist to be able to post content under the Fair Use Doctrine. So the Fair Use Doctrine is 17 U.S.C. Section 107, and it enables people to be able to post and share content under certain conditions. Those conditions definitely do have to be met. I'm going to read to you this section of the code, and this is important. It's not going to be a drudgery podcast here. Listen to this. This is going to be interesting. So it says here in the code, notwithstanding the provisions of Section 17 U.S.C. 106 and 106A, the fair use of a copyrighted work, including such use by reproduction in copies. Now, I should emphasize that, including such use by reproduction in copies, because I know some people will say, Israel, you should have just shared it. Well, you can't. It was on Twitter, so I can't just share it to Facebook that easy. But I don't have to just share it, because we're allowed to reproduce it and make copies. including such use by reproduction in copies or phonorecords or by any other means specified by that section for purpose such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, and it puts in brackets, and this is in the actual act, including multiple copies for classroom use, scholarship, or research, is not an infringement of copyright. In determining whether the use made of a work in any particular case is a fair use, the factors to be considered shall include the following four. 1. The purpose and character of the use, including whether such use is of a commercial nature or is for non-profit educational purposes. Well, we fall under that one immediately, and that's all we need. So strike 1. 2, the nature of the copyrighted work. Well, this is a news piece that has serious public interest. So section 2, we have a strike there as well. Section 3, the amount and substantiality of the portion used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole. Well, we used the entire thing there, 42 seconds long, so we probably wouldn't fall under that one. We didn't use just a small portion, we used the whole thing. And section 4, the effect of the use upon the potential market for or value of the copyrighted work. In other words, in posting it, did I decrease the value to the copyright holder of their piece of work? In other words, if you see it on my Facebook page, are you less likely to see it on the news? And the answer is, of course, no. Is the use of their clip and distributing it to other networks, is that in some way damaged by me using it on my Facebook page? Again, no. So we only need 1 out of 4. We have 3 out of 4 strikes here. So this is something that journalists struggle with all the time since the DMCA was released or enacted. This whole idea of fair use, and what happens is the copyright holders, in this case the Sinclair broadcast group, they know that the small fry out there that they're going to file claims against on Facebook and damage their Facebook status, they know that they can't fight back. They know they're too small. Well, they probably should have looked at my followers on my page and realized I don't have just a couple of hundred followers. So what now? Well, I can't do anything on Facebook till Monday night. I literally I can view things, that's it. I can observe. Now, we have other admin accounts, so those people will be posting on my behalf. So we will still be posting to the Facebook page. You may be listening to this right now on the Facebook page. You may have been asking yourself, well, wait a second, how can I be listening to this right now? That's how, because somebody else posted this onto the page for me. But I can't do anything with my personal profile. If you send me a message, I can read it, but I can't reply. I can't like your posts. So I can't use Messenger. I can't like anything. I can't post anything. I can't change any settings. I can't do anything until Monday night. And the real problem here is that this is strike 1. You get a few of these, and they just go ahead and delete your account. That's a big problem. And it's a big problem with people in the political sphere, because especially with the way things are right now, we're the minority in the libertarian world, in the conservative world, and those on the left control 99% of the media. They also control most of the courts. So that's a shame as well. So what recourse do I have right now? My only real recourse is to sue Dave Trausneck and Sinclair Broadcast Group. Now, I've already consulted with an attorney on this matter, and let me read something that they sent me, because I think you'll find this interesting. And I'm going to be deciding over this weekend whether to just let this slide. But right now I'm leaning more towards taking legal action against the Sinclair Broadcast Group, because this is a pejorative DMCA takedown request. They know that this clip was used under fair use doctrine correctly. So what happens when they do that? Well, let me read a little bit here. The DMCA was enacted in order to create a safe harbor provisions for ISPs, service providers, etc. I'm going to basically just skim some of this and paraphrase it, but you can go and find stuff like this all over the internet. As an example, a website could be providing a copyrighted song on it without the copyright owner's permission. The person whose copyright was infringed could send the takedown notice to the web host, and they'll take it down, but the ISP won't be sued. The web host company won't be sued. So this creates a simple system for people whose copyright has been infringed to protect their work without going through complicated litigation, unless a counter notice is filed. Now, I can file a counter notice, and Facebook will get back to me in about 30 days. I mean, what's the point? There's really not a lot of point to that. They won't reinstate the video. They say that they can, but everything I see online from other people that have gone through that, Facebook deletes the video. I mean, it won't be news at that point anyway, so it won't matter. So the real damage to me is being done right now. And so filing a response to this, which we will do anyway, but I will do that this evening. But it really won't. I'll be doing that just because we're probably going to take them to court, and the court will want to see that I did respond correctly through the channels that are provided to me under the law, under the statute. However, some people abuse the DMCA system despite not having a valid claim of copyright infringement, which is the case here with the Sinclair Broadcast Group. A person who wants content taken down may send a takedown notice anyway in order to have materials they find offensive, defamatory, or otherwise objectionable removed, or simply to harass the person responsible for the account which will be affected by the DMCA notice. What many who abuse the DMCA system do not realize is that they can be sued and held civilly liable for the havoc they wreak by sending these fake notices. A perfect example of this is the case of Online Policy Group versus Diebold, and my libertarian peers will be very interested in this one. You probably haven't heard this one. So Diebold makes all these voting machines that have very suspicious abilities to be able to hack them, right? And they're used in all the US elections. Well, Online Policy Group was critical of Diebold's machines and released email correspondence from the company that they had obtained onto the internet. And Diebold sent DMCA takedown requests to have access to the emails that they had posted removed. Well, the Online Policy Group sued Diebold over the takedown request, arguing that the group had the legal right to publish the emails, and a California court agreed with the group and granted a request for summary judgment, after which Diebold settled with the group to pay $125,000 for their monetary losses and legal fees. And this case was just one of many which have been fought over unsubstantiated DMCA takedown requests. So they also had to do a whole bunch of things. They had to apologize. They had to, they were ordered by the court not to post certain things, and there were certain judgments against them. One of the more serious judgments that can go against a person for issuing a false, fraudulent, fake DMCA takedown request, as this one very most definitely is that they can be found to be committing perjury. Perjury is an incredibly serious offense. It ruins you forever to be found in a court of law to have committed perjury. Most people don't hear about perjury these days, but if you're perjured, you're in serious trouble. Let's say, this gentleman, Dave Trausneck, that has filed this request, or it might have been one of his assistants, but he leads the social media department. It's his details that are on the ability for me to reply to the DMCA request filing. If he was found to be perjured by the court, if he had found to have committed an act of perjury by filing this fake request, he will never work in media again in his life. I don't think anyone will hire you if you've been found in a court of law to have perjured yourself. Nobody's going to want to touch you. And I think it's time that we start standing up to the leftist media. I don't want to be an asshole. I've looked at Dave Trausneck's Twitter account. I've looked at his Facebook account. I've scoured through it for quite a while, for about half an hour today. And he's a nice guy. He's extremely liberal, extreme leftist progressive. Can't find any fault with anything Obama or the Democrats have ever done, and finds fault with every single thing that Trump has done. But that's typical out there in media. But, he posts videos of puppies, and he just seems like a pretty nice guy, kind of guy that you like to sit down and have a beer with and share a few stories. Doesn't seem like a bad guy, but he's certainly done a bad thing here. He's done the wrong thing, and that cannot stand. I think it's time that we teach the media a lesson, because this abuse of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act has been going on for years, and it will continue to, especially with Donald Trump as the president. I think, although I haven't made up my mind fully, but I think that I'm going to sue Sinclair Broadcast Group and Dave Trausneck. I think it's the only option we have. I think we need to send a message to leftist media that we will not tolerate fraudulent DMCA takedown requests anymore, that fair use doctrine stands. What do you think? I'd love to hear your opinions. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And if any attorneys that are familiar with 17 USC 107 and the DMCA, and if you work for the UCLA or some other media group that supports independent journalists in these kinds of matters, I would love to hear from you. Now, this brings us to another issue real quick here. When are we going to get an alternative to Facebook and desert Facebook? Because that needs to happen. So for the last year, I have been slowly building my online presence on my own website. And we moved away from people's personal websites, and we moved everything onto social media. And then you see in the Super Bowl ads this year that things are all moving back to domain names again. I own my own domain name. You can find me at israelanderson.com. You can email me. There you can call me, you can text me. I have made my cell phone number public for 6, 7, 8 years. I'll give it to you right now. Everybody has this. It's so easy to find. It's on my Twitter profile. It's on my Facebook profile. It's everywhere. It's a Google Voice number, so it's very secure. I don't have to worry about it. That's Tiaki barking in the background. It's this, 720-346-4471. It's a Boulder, Colorado area code, 720-346-4471. Write my number down, put it into your phone. You'll never know when you might need it. I've been giving my number out for so long, I get precious few calls from people. And when they do, usually it's something good and interesting to talk about. So I don't mind doing that. And I encourage you to get a Google Voice number and do the same. I really believe in transparency. I believe in making myself available to people. If somebody wants to get a hold of me, they can. I remember that it was back in September, there was some very controversial thing going on in the media. And I've always been a bit of a private investigator. That's how I found all Dave Trausneck's details. His name actually wasn't in anything that Facebook gave me, just an email address. But from that, I worked out all the rest. And I did a whole bunch of investigative journalism and discovered all of this information that this journalist out there had been looking for years. And I spent a week and a half trying to reach out to this person and let them know, hey, I've got all the information you wrote in your article that you've been looking for years. To this day, they've never contacted me back. That's a problem. If you're going to be a journalist, People need to be able to reach you. I'm a journalist, and you can reach me. You can pick up the phone. You can send me a text message. It's that simple. But the other part of this is this. I've been working on a very, very different style, a very different kind, a very different medium of social media altogether. Now, I'm a .com pioneer. Most of you probably don't know. Every website you use these days uses the 3-click rule. I invented that rule a very long time ago. I was one of the world's very first web developers, and one of the world's first mobile software developers, built companies, done exciting things, put the first magazine on the internet that looked and worked just like a magazine, had the first full-screen advertising online. Anyway, I've done a whole bunch of stuff, and I haven't done a whole lot the last 10 years in that space, but the last 7 years, I've been working on a new kind of social media experience. And I think it's time to make it real, because we're always going to be running into these problems with Facebook. Facebook's dominance, for the first time, is going to suffer some damage this year. Not that something else is going to replace it, but that Snapchat is in some ways, but that people are just getting tired of Facebook. They're looking for an alternative. If you're a venture capitalist in the technology industry, if you are a great coder, I would like to talk with you. I would like to get you to sign an NDA, and I would like to have a discussion with you about how we can build a very different, not something that's, just a little bit different to Facebook, a complete rethink of what social media is all about. It's something I've been working on for 7 years. It's very different. I think it's time to get that out into the marketplace. So there's that. So you've got my number, you've got my website, you know how to contact me if you need to. And seriously, go ahead and send me a text message right now if you like. I really don't mind. It's not weird. We used to communicate this way all the time. And then Facebook came along. And now we're starting to see Facebook does not have our back, right? They're not required under the DMCA to simply take the content down like that. And then not just to take the content down, but to penalize me for 3 days, effectively banning me from the site for 3 days, or I can't do a thing. I can't even respond. What if I was having some kind of, important communications through Messenger with a family member, and now all of a sudden it's silent and nobody's getting any replies? I have no ability whatsoever to post onto my Facebook profile, to message somebody. People rely on Facebook to a very large degree. So to just cut somebody off for 72 hours like that, that's absolutely inappropriate. We need to build a better system. There's time to do that. So, if you're curious about this and you really have a track record, some history in software development, in, angel startup funding or venture capital funding, then reach out to me. Let's talk. And under NDA, I will discuss some of these ideas and concepts with you. I hope you're having a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for listening. I'm a little subdued tonight, as you can tell, but I'm excited to be doing these podcasts every day, and I will definitely see you tomorrow. So I hope you'll tune in then. If you like this, then please give it a thumbs up. Do whatever you can to spread this around. Tag people in the legal community that you think might be interested in this case and pursuing a lawsuit against Sinclair Broadcast Group. Reach out to me. You've got my number. You got my website. We're good. Have a great night. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.